Dude, this episode was pretty. It was pretty cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
That's right. This is the official first episode of the Breuniverse After Show, Freshly Brewed, with Joe and myself, Mike the Sound Guy. We are currently talking about episode 150 with Steve Trevino.
I love Steve Trevino, man.
Their banter in the beginning was hilarious.
I mean, from the minute they get into the room together, there's just a natural chemistry between the two of them. And I love the whole first like 6 minutes of the who's this comic? All those guys that they did while I was watching. I'm like, oh, okay, I know who that is. And like the Sebastian impersonation that Trevino did was super, super cool.
Did you see the cut that I sent you?
Oh, it's the best. I love it.
Bun bun, quackity cookity.
Wow! All right! Wow! Ooh. All right! Well, you know, the thing I got to drop in for right away is that this episode to me is when I love Jim in his natural habitat talking to another comedian, because Trevino at one point, it sounds like his story with doing comedy, they put out the special. What I loved was the special came out and then nothing happened. But what really got him going was when they cut the special up and started putting it on, you know, Instagram, Facebook, and all those. It's so punk rock. For me as a comic, this episode really dove into two stories of two different guys. You know, Jim has his story, Steve has his, and also the bonding factor. When both of them had kids, they really cut out any of the fat that wasn't important in their life anymore. Like it was all about, you know what? Father equals man. Like I got to take care of these people. I got to get food on the table. And that really hit home, because I, you know, with having two kids of my own, my life fully changed when I had kids.
Yeah, no, and you know, the same thing, like you said, trimming the fat. They, you know, had a kid, they had to cut back on all this stuff. It's Jim's told that story a bunch of times when he was, you know, paying what it was like $700 for an apartment somewhere, like one bedroom with D. And
yeah, they're talking about
you know,
D. One of the stories I always remember that Jim told me was, and D's told me it a million times, not a million, but just the whole going to New York and there's no place to park. So D would sit in the car, drive around, Jim would do the spot, run back out to the car, go to the next club
at 3 a.m.
Yeah. And that's how they lived, you know, make the rent money, you know, on a weekend of doing spots. There was one thing that I don't know if you picked up on it. We got to talk about the Brad Garrett story. From what I hear, Brad Garrett is a very, very giving person, and it's backed up in the story that Steve Trevino talks about.
You know, Brad Garrett and I have become very good friends over the years, and
Brad.
he was so I actually named my son after Brad Garrett.
Really?
Well, it's kind of a long story. I put it in my special, but I was working with Brad when my wife went into labor.
Okay.
And I went over to Brad and I go, hey, man, we're midweek. I go, I got to go. I'm having a baby. And Brad goes, of course you are. You're Mexican. Right?
Right.
And I go, you don't have to pay me. You're Jewish. Right?
Right.
Big laugh.
Right.
Brad writes me a check, puts it in an envelope, and he goes, this is for your new baby. Dude, it was $25,000.
Whoa.
And I'm driving home, and I told my wife, because we had not figured out a name yet. I go, what about Garrett for his first name? And she goes, oh my God, I love it. And then I didn't even know that he had given me that much. It wasn't until I opened it later and I go, oh my God, look what he gave us. So that's how he ended up, my son being Garrett.
And I was like, wow, man, that's definitely like, that'd be like me having a kid now. And I'm like, yeah, what's your son's name? Breuer.
Breuer Sib.
Yeah. Breuer Sib. Oh my God. But no, I thought so. You know, it was also, once again, you know, if you're into comedy, if you're not into comedy, you still get to see the journey that comics go on. You know, when I was listening to Steve's story of, you know, how it's been going for him, I in listening to Jim, I'm like, wow, you're like, I gotta deliver the goods. And that's where, you know, that's where you're at. And I loved how both of them said it's all about enjoying all of it and not just being all about your ego getting involved with it. And I don't know.
Yep.
I just thought that was super cool to listen to both these guys do that. So this for me is a cool episode in the sense that I love when Jim interviews comedians because that's how I discovered Breuer. So it's nice seeing him talk to other comedians about the journey and from the beginning to where they are now.
Yeah, and the cool thing is that when he has these comedians on, it's not the same old rigmarole when they go on an interview show and this question, hey, what are you doing? It's real stuff. Like they're talking about his family and his kids. Like you said, the story about his next Netflix special, and it went nowhere. But then they chopped it up, and then it took off, and now all of a sudden everybody knows who he is. Like that's cool stuff, man. Like,
hey, one other thing I wanted to bring up too. At the end of a lot of the podcasts, Breuer always does kind of like a monologue or just a reflection. And this one, the walk, I enjoyed because he gave a couple examples. I don't know about you, but they hit home. Opening a door for someone, they don't say thank you.
Do you ever open the door for someone and they don't say thank you and immediately you get annoyed? I used to do that all the time. New York City. I still do it. I always open doors, and I will say, there's a particular kind that very rarely will say thank you. And what I come to terms with is that ain't on me. I didn't do it for the thank you. I did it because I knew it's a polite thing to do. And I'm not going to worry about this person walking through the door and they didn't say thank you and be like, you're welcome. How many times do you do that? You're welcome. Well, then you weren't doing it for the right reasons.
Being polite to someone, they don't care. And his whole theory of like, are you being polite because you want the pat on the back? Or are you being cool because you want to be cool? And I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I've sometimes done it because I want the pat on the back.
Oh, I'm guilty of that. I'll hold the door. Someone will walk by. I'm like, you're welcome.
Oh,
and
dude.
Like, yeah.
I'm so much that guy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that.
I don't feel like I'm doing it for the whatever back. Like I feel like I'm doing it, but it does, kind of sting a little bit. It's like, hey, come on.
Well, you know what? You know what I've noticed though, traveling with Jim, he's totally and he does this all the time. We'll go to a hotel, rooms aren't ready. They're like, yeah, sorry, your rooms aren't going to be ready till tomorrow, and we don't have a place for you to stay. And Jim's like, that's cool. No, I get it. And I'm like, I'm the other guy. I'm like, what? I'll slide into mode pretty quick. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like,
hey man, check-in was at 3. It's 4:30. What?
Breuer won't do it. He does do this thing where he doesn't go into mode. I mean, I've seen him go into mode if someone blatantly does something like cuts him off, in line or something like that,
that hurts.
As we all know. Yeah, it hurts. He'll go down that road. But for the most part, he won't, he doesn't do it. He's just like, oh, it's cool. I hate to say it, but he does walk the walk. So I don't know. It made me go, all right, I got to, if I'm opening the door or whatever, do it for, the reason of, I just want to be cool to someone instead of like, hey, say thank you.
Yep. So you got anything else?
This episode is 2 comics sitting down, talking about beginning, middle, and where they are now, their journeys getting there. And it's interesting. And it's also, like we both said, I've heard about Steve Trevino, but after hearing him on the podcast, definitely going to want to check him out live.
Oh, absolutely. And then, if you guys haven't seen it, go check out episode 150, Steve Trevino. It's out now. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Joe's got shows all over the place. Head to joesip.com. If you want to see more stuff that doesn't make it to YouTube, head over to Jim's Patreon at jimbreuer.com/Patreon.
See you guys out on the road.
See you on the road.
Later, Mike.
Later, dude.
Do I lose the audio? I got to get a new jack here. Hold on.
Ooh, wait.
Yo, can you hear me, buddy? Does this sound good? All right, there we go. How's that? Is that better? Right? Wait, does this window bum you out right here? Okay, tell me how you like the light. Is that too bright? Is that good? Hey, what's up? Party! Is that good? So keep it like that. Glasses, boom. Water, notes. Jim Breuer laminates, signed. What's up?
2023.
2023. Forgot to get those on the site. Uh-oh. Freshly brewed, bro. Yes.